welcome to Literature Geeks. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing the third book in the Titanic series trilogy by Gordon Korman, which is S.O.S. Now we're going to look at the protagonist.
The protagonist is Patty Burns, and the friends of the protagonist say the same. Alfie, Juliana, Sophie, Mrs. Rankin is also in this for a couple of different scenes. And Daniel, he meets up with Daniel at the end of the book. And the antagonist is Jack the Ripper.
Yep. Just for Alfie and Sophie.
Yeah, but he's still the overall antagonist of the book.
Yeah. Now on to the three big questions. If there are any bad words, bathroom humor, romantic scenes. None of those.
Yeah, none. So, what did you like about the book?
Well, I can say the descriptions of the Titanic sinking. I don't like the Titanic in general because it's a very sad tragedy. So reading it, it was very sad. And I just liked how realistic it was. So then anyone else reading it can know that it was a true event, and a lot of people, for 1,000 people, did lose their lives over this mishap. So it was nice to see it not just fluff, it was very descriptive.
Yeah, you're right. It was very realistic with that. And I also like, though, the different stories of the characters escaping the Titanic. Like, they all were basically separated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all separated, and then at the end, they found each other, and they were escalated, overjoyed, because some of them thought that some of them didn't make it out. So it was cool to see them go back together.
One character didn't make it, but we're not going to say who it is.
Well, I mean, they made it all to the Carpathia.
They made it all to the Carpathia, but one of the characters didn't. Or died. But we're not going to say who that was.
Except when we come to the summary, so you will have to stick around for the summary.
I also like...
Can I say what I like?
Yeah.
I'm going to mention Jack the Ripper. He finally dies, which I very much am happy about, because you can see, I believe it's in the second book, or it's the third book in the very beginning. I think it's the third book beginning, where Alfie doesn't want to help out Mr. Matterson or Jack the Ripper, and he leaves him behind, knocks him out, kind of wants the water to drown him, and all that. Doesn't work, because he still lives, and it goes in the same little floating cabinet thing with Alfie. And you would think that this would change this old man's view of life and be like, oh, I'm still living. But no, he doesn't. He just continues to think, oh, when I get to America, I'm going to get the surgery. I'm going to go on killing more people, which is unfortunate. But that's why I'm glad. I liked how his character just ended, because I didn't like him.
Yeah, you're right about that. It kind of was strange that he didn't die from the water overtaking him, though, if you're knocked out.
Yeah. I don't know. Must be like a cat and has 9 lives.
Okay. And then last but not least that I liked was that the Gahulis basically kind of changed their ways a little bit.
Switched their attitude towards Patty.
Mm-hmm.
Which is nice. Except Patty didn't know that, because throughout the end of the book, even on the Carpathia, the Kevin Gahuli and Seamus, they were trying to find Patty, and they were chasing him, and Patty thinks, oh no, they're still trying to kill me, instead of being like, oh, what do you guys want, and then trying to escape. But understandable, he was almost thrown off the Titanic, so I understand why he would run. But yeah, they switched their attitude towards him. Which is nice, and brought Daniel with them. In my mind, when I read that, I was thinking, How? How did they bring Daniel to America so fast? I do want to know that.
Well, he was there for like a month at America. He was doing a bunch of
he was in Belfast.
If you remember, I'm saying not Daniel. I'm saying Patty was there for a month. So they had a month to bring him. Because basically he was doing a bunch of different jobs, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what didn't you like about the book?
I didn't like how one of the characters died. I was like, why did the author do that? Like, he made... Okay, spoiler alert.
So, wait. Wait, if you don't want to... If you don't
want to hear it...
Just skip ahead.
So, Alfie's the one that dies. He dies of hypothermia. And...
Also, Da dies.
His Da dies, which is very sad. But I don't like it when authors are like, oh, let's make this character very lovable. And let's make them actually like this character. And actually give hope for this character. And then they just kill the character. And I'm like, why did you do that?
Yeah, like, cool? I would have thought he would have lived.
Oh, I also have to say this. I do, for something that I do like how Sophie kind of helped her mom out, like towards when the ship was sinking, and that she's respecting her mom, and she's starting to pick up on some of the things her mom was doing, just not in a crazy manner like her mom was doing. So that was nice, actually.
Because if you read later, her mom was doing something in America, and then
she got arrested.
She was arrested, so then Sophie went out there and basically took it up.
It's kind of nice, a little bit.
So back to what we didn't like.
Back to what we didn't like.
I have to say that I didn't like how slow, like, it wasn't even that cool. Like, I get how Alfie was battling Jack the Ripper, you know, and it wasn't that long at all. It wasn't that cool at all. It was just, no, like, listen. Yeah, I was expecting a battle in the second book, but it didn't happen. So I was figuring, okay, there'll be, like, it did happen in the second book, but it wasn't that long, and it wasn't that interesting. So I figured in the third book, it'd be a lot more interesting. But no.
No, maybe because for the third book, I mean, I can get the second book, there'd be something, but third book was mainly focusing on all the other people that were dying.
They did, but the thing is it also is focusing on Jack the Ripper, because the main plot of the Titanic ain't just the Titanic. I think the main kind of storyline is solving the mystery with Jack the Ripper, I think. And overall,
or like a sub point, like you have the main point.
But I think that's the main point, I think, is what happened. I get the Titanic sinking is main.
I respectfully disagree.
But, okay, what do you think the main point is?
I think the main point was trying to recapture and kind of try to live the experience of the Titanic and the journey, the voyage of itself. And then alongside of it, it was just showing different characters of what could be, you know, what could happen. Mm-hmm. So, like, Jack the Ripper, that's not what the whole voyage of the Titanic was about.
I know it wasn't about that, but I'm just saying in this fictional book, that's what the main kind of point was. And
I think it's a
on the back of every point, the back of every book, it mentioned Jack the Ripper, basically. And it talked about in the back of every single book. The whole entire trip.
Yeah.
Alfie and Patty even, and like
yeah. No, I get
all the others. That their main thing was they're trying to solve the mystery with Jack the Ripper. Yeah. But really, I think they should have made the battle a lot better.
Yeah, you're more into action. And maybe another thing, I've read some other Gordon Korman books, really good works, but not a lot. So it could be also like this, where he's a talented writer, but maybe like a battle scene isn't a strong suit. Probably. I'm not sure on that, because I know when I write, just some scenes, like, I can't, like, I don't know if I could do a action fighting scene, because I know I'm not that good at it.
I already, wrote a book, but it's just, with it. The battle scene was, I think I captured.
Cough.
I think I captured the battle scene pretty well.
Good for you.
Okay, so
Well,
now we can do the summary.
summary. Would you like me to do it?
Sure. Yeah.
So, it starts off with the Titanic is sinking, and all the characters, yes, are trying to get onto the lifeboats. And so you have women and children first. So, Julie's going, she's trying to get her dad, but her dad is gambling and just is so concentrated on the game that he doesn't care. And then Alfie goes to find his dad, and his dad was saying, "No, I can't go, and I have to keep the ship alive and going by, he's putting coal into the steamers or whatever he was doing, keeping the ship running." And he said, like, when you see the lights on still, it's because of me. Like, just think that is me. And also the reason why he's doing that is so then Morse code messages could be sent back and forth through ships. So there's Alfie's situation, and he's crying because he doesn't want to leave his dad. His dad's crying, and he's just thinking, "Oh, I was a horrible dad, horrible husband. This is the way I should go." And then we have Patty, who he is on first deck, and then he goes back to third deck to try to get Mrs. Rankin and all the other people, and only 30 go with him up to the first deck. I don't know what happened to the rest. No, he doesn't say what happened to them, but I'm guessing they died because they didn't want to listen to Patty. So there's Patty's situation, and then lastly we have Sophie's. And her mom didn't want to go on the lifeboat because she's like, "Oh, just because you think I'm a girl, just because you think I'm a woman, I should be going on here. How dare you?" Like, trying to be equal with the men. And Sophie was like, "Not now, Mom. They can't work. Not now." But Amelia Bronson doesn't listen to her daughter. So what happens is they fight, then the captain talks to them, and Sophie convinces her mom to go down to the lifeboat with her, and somehow throws her mom in the lifeboat. And Sophie doesn't know where she's going to get a lifeboat, what one she's going to fit on. So she kind of saved her mom's life and didn't know what was going to happen to hers. So the ship is sinking. Patty, what does he do? He falls into the water. He finds a boat, an inflatable boat. I think he went on it beforehand. I'm not quite sure right now because my mind is blanking. But eventually he ends up on this inflatable raft thing with none other than Officer Light Toller commanding the little raft. And he's like, "Oh no, this is the worst thing ever." But, so they're going, as we all know from the real facts, the Titanic, Captain Smith stays with his ship, as well as Thomas Andrews, the ship's engineer. So they all stay with the ship. Okay, random thing. If you hear, like, anything, like, meowing or scratching or all that, it's my cat. She won't stop making a noise. So, thought I'd throw that out there. Anyway, so they're out in the boat. They hear the screaming of people. Very horrifying. Julie, well, because of Patty, saves a little girl, like 2 years old. And so they're sailing. They sent up flares and messages in nearby ships. The RMS, like Californian, and the Carpathia, they see it. So the Carpathia is the closest, so that ship was going towards them. That ship eventually rescues them. But as they're going, Alfie is in a cabinet, and there's someone trying to get into the cabinet with him, and that's Jack the Ripper. And so they have a little squabble, and just Alfie wanted to kill him right there, but he didn't. Well, Sophie, she's floating along, and they help her in, but Jack the Ripper grabs her neck and tries to kill her that way, and I'm like, wow. Okay, well, that's interesting. But Jack the Ripper dies because Alfie hits him on the back of the head with the jar. How nice. And then Alfie just throws his body over in the water. And he brings Sophie in. And they're crying, comforting each other. And eventually the Carpathia comes, because they see a flare sent off by another little raft ship thing. And they bring all the people on board. That's where Alfie, they try to help him because he has hypothermia, but they can't. And he dies. And Mrs. Rankin, I believe, dies because she's in like really bad condition. And eventually they reach New York. And they did a separate dock because there was so much news and press that the captain felt like it was unnecessary for them to deal with that. And a lot of grief. There were some joys of family reuniting, but a lot of grief. Then it went on. That life went on. Patty was trying to find a job. And everywhere he went, there was Kevin Gahuli and Seamus. So his job got ruined. But he kept getting the jobs back because there's a lot of wanted help throughout New York City. So eventually at the end of the book, that's when we see Patty run and Seamus and Kevin Gahuli catch him and be like, hold up. Like what she did on the Titanic, saving them. They were like, thank you for that. And then they're like, we're trying to show you your friend Daniel. And so Daniel and Patty reunite. They get a sum of money from the Gahuli brothers. And their life seems to go perfect from that. So that's pretty much the summary of the book.
It was a very good book series, and it's very sad to end it. However, there's still a little bit more of the Titanic left. If you keep up on the highlights, there's still...
If you want a more in-depth summary, more in-depth than what I just gave you.
Yeah.
Then we are creating a series called Highlights that is going to go full in-depth into each story that we read. And it's kind of like an audio drama thing. So there'll be some funny sound effects.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to be creating we're going to be creating them for the Titanic. A bunch of other books. So, I think that kind of wraps up the review. What do you think? Mm-hmm. So, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and
follow us on Anchor, because those are you're probably listening to this or watching it on both those, but it is like an exclusively thing for now. Maybe eventually we'll branch out, but these are the two platforms that we are currently using. So if you could help support us out that way, that'd be much appreciated.
And then also check out Instagram, because we have some stuff there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have the videos on there, I guess, as well. And also any announcements that we will be having will be on Instagram or on our website.
Mm-hmm.
So just follow us on everything.
Yeah, and remember,
because you never know where we'll post things first.
Remember our Patreon. You get a bunch of different stuff for $10. Very good deal. So, bye.
Bye.